Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and we're excited to have another moose lover in the back seat, known as PrincessMisery86 on AO3. Stacey has posted over 160 stories since 2018. Her work covers a variety of fandoms, including Top Gun, MCU, DCU, and of course, Supernatural. This reader insert OFC writer enjoys healthy doses of angst, fluff, and smut with a flight of tasty hot men. But today, we can't wait to discuss her love for the Winchester brothers. So big thanks for joining us and welcome to the podcast, Stacey.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
Hi.
You're most welcome. So before Sandra even starts, you want to hold the head end of the moose or the ass end of the moose?
Either or, we'll take it in turns.
You're working. If you're coming on here proclaiming yourself as a moose lover, you pick a goddamn end. He's heavy. We'll switch. It's fine. We'll switch. That's all good. All right, Sandra, you can go now.
No, I really think we do have to have pick your moose part. I think we need that.
I'm sorry. You can hold the squirrel in one hand. You can be like, oh, my left arm's getting tired. I'll just swap him to my right arm. You gotta do that with a moose.
He's so nice and compact. I could just put him in my little hand and take care of him that way.
Fucking dare you to say that to Jensen in DC Con.
Absolutely not. I would never.
Did you know that I have referred to you as so little and compact?
Oh gosh. Stacey, thank you for joining all this crazy. I do appreciate it. I know that you kind of heard from us through your good friend, Kim Winchester, which we kind of wanted to talk to you and just get an idea of your love of Supernatural and talk about your writing and different things like that. I think we want to go all the way back and ask, when exactly did you get into Supernatural?
So at the start, I was an OG fan when it first came out in the UK, and I have looked this up. It was originally aired on 22nd of January 2006.
Okay.
Wow. So I started back then, and I remember watching the first episode with my mum and my sister. And obviously we're all like, oh yeah, look, they're very pretty. Let's watch some more. And then I kind of fell out, I think, round about, I want to say As the Darkness Comes. So is that season 9, 10?
Season 11.
Is it 11? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I kind of fell off the wagon then, and I think it changed channels over here. So I kind of it stopped being aired on the same channel. So it was like, oh, I need to find it again, and then kind of maybe forgot about it.
Okay.
And then when I discovered Tumblr then back in, I want to say 2019, maybe before that. No, it must have been before that. Whenever I discovered Tumblr, and then obviously I found the fandom, and I was like, oh, look, there's lots of people that watch this show. It's not just little old me in my little corner. Mm-hmm. And I got back into it, binged it all, and then managed to watch the last 2 seasons as they were being aired.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. What was that like watching the last 2, as it was happening? Were you, I guess, what was it that had you fall out around the darkness? Was it just life and stuff, the usual, or was was it kind of just not catching you?
I think it was I think it was a bit of everything. I think it was like, oh, this has been going on a long time now. Is there going to be an end to this thing? At one point, I wasn't much of a fan of the darkness. I was just like, oh, this is a bit of a poor storyline. But I suppose it was before we knew who she was. Mm-hmm. So it was literally as they introduced at the end, where she battles them in the car, and then it was like, oh, okay, it's just it's another big bad sort of thing. So it was kind of like, oh, maybe I'm not that bothered about it for a bit, and then I just found my love for it again.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Can I ask, and we'll totally clip this out if you don't want it in. How old were you when Supernatural first started?
Oh, you're gonna make me do maths. Maths?
Sorry.
Really? I'm literally getting the calculator. I was
rough
20.
guesstimate.
I was 20.
20, right? Okay.
I was 20. Yeah, 2006. I was 20. Yeah. So, but I've always preferred supernaturally stuff or sci-fi stuff. Everybody, Friends and stuff, was always into EastEnders and soap operas and Hollyoaks, which probably all the US people aren't going to know what the hell I'm talking about.
I do.
I know EastEnders. I've heard of that. So I know that's a really long soap opera, right? That's been on for ages.
That's been on longer than I've been alive.
So everybody was always into that kind of thing. And I was just like, I don't want to come home and watch life like real life things. I can walk down the street and see that happening. I want to watch something fantastical and different and monsters and stupid stuff. So I was always looking for those kind of shows. So like I was obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer when that first came out and stuff. So that kind of started the itch of, let's watch some fantastic stuff about random things that aren't really going to happen, sort of thing. Like live in the fantasy world, basically, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Totally.
So what other shows besides Buffy when you were younger kind of got you?
So I had a whole phase of being obsessed with Teen Wolf, although I feel like I was quite old. That was definitely after Supernatural, wasn't it? Teen Wolf.
Okay.
Obviously Buffy, Angel with the spin-off.
Okay.
But I just kind of bought, I had Buffy on VHS. That's how old I am.
Okay.
I had Buffy on VHS and I used to watch them on repeat.
Aw. Who was your favorite on Buffy?
I loved Angel, obviously. It was just the bad boy. And then Spike became my favourite in the end.
Okay.
I couldn't get enough of Spike. Yeah, I absolutely loved Spike. I just thought it was brilliant. And I loved Cordelia's storyline as well, to be fair.
Okay.
The way she went from the kind of popular girl at high school to the one everybody relied on, sort of thing.
It's been a long time since I watched Buffy, and I think I ended up watching it after it was done, and I watched it like on Netflix, like when it was streaming, and I kind of caught up with it that way. I know a lot of people talk about sort of like Buffy and Dean kind of paralleling a bit.
Oh yeah,
do you see that?
I can see that.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah. I feel like I need to just like go back and watch that something whenever I have time, which is there's so much of it. I don't know when, but
I feel like now it'd be really cheesy.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of Supernatural, right? I mean, I really do feel like Supernatural leans into, they can get really dark and serious at times, but I think a lot of it too is just like the cheese factor of it. It's just, and I mean, it's interesting to hear you talk about like, wanting to get into like the fantasy world, but then Supernatural, and I think I know Buffy does this too. It all comes back to relationships and family and friendships and stuff like that. So like to have that still interweaved within those storylines, I think is what kind of gets people to kind of like stick around, because after a while the fantasy is only going to take you so far, but then it's like, how does it put you, I guess, into it to kind of connect and stuff like that. So no, I think that's what, I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you came back to the fold. I find it funny too to hear how some people came back to it or started up again around the time when like a lot of us, quote unquote newbies were just finding out about the show. And just to think about the time span of a show like this, I mean, really thinking about it, it's going to be 20 years next year when it like debuted. That's insane that, it still kind of has sticking power, I think, in people's minds and stuff like that. But we heard that Sam is your Blorbo. I'm just learning this word. This is a word I've just learned a few months ago. I kind of wanted to give you and Kasey just the opportunity just to talk about Sam and
why do you do this to me?
Gush over him. Well, because you keep telling me he doesn't get enough airtime on the podcast. So I don't know, like thoughts on the show, Sam and Dean together.
When did you know that Sam was your person, your Blorbo, your character, your whatever?
So I always say I'm a Sam girl, but a Jensen woman.
Interesting.
So I can never just fucking have it, can I? I can never just have it. I can never get one goddamn person on this podcast that's like, no, Sam, Jared, like me. You're on ass duties for the rest of this podcast, Missy. I can deal with that.
Fine.
Don't think she's going to complain.
So no, that's so.
Nobody
share the same birthday with Sam.
Yeah. Okay. No. But no. Now you've got to explain.
No, you can't throw that out there and then just be like, yeah, no, let's talk about Sam. No. Explain the thought process.
I really, when it first started, I could never decide. I was always like, oh, I like them both. I'm gonna have the best of both worlds. And then it wasn't until I got back into it, and once I realised, oh yeah, there's a fandom out there. I can interact with people, and I started it from the beginning again. Then I was actually like, you know what? Maybe it's an age thing. As I got older, I was like, actually, no, I think I prefer Sam. But don't hate me for this. I'm probably going to get some blowback for this, but don't hate me for this. Towards the end of the seasons, Jared seems really weird. And I used to think, oh, maybe it's because it's the way he was in some of the last few episodes or the whole last season. It was like witchy the way he acted. I can't explain it. And I thought, maybe it's because obviously the devil's around and it's part of Sam and it's been that. But then I watched a few episodes of Walker and he's still the same. And I'm just like, I don't get it. So I don't know if that kind of put me off Jared. And I'm just like, okay, I'm still a Sam girl and I love my Sam and I'll defend him until the end of days.
He's a baby and he's never done a thing wrong in his whole entire life.
This is it. Yes, Sam never has. I totally agree with that.
Right, exactly. Any potentially poor choices that he has made have been the result of other people's failings, never his.
Obviously. The people that were around him and giving him direction and stuff like that. Yes, I agree with that. Yes. But yeah. But it did take me a while to decide if I was Sam or Dean. But then it was like, no, it's a solid Sam, definitely.
Yeah, that's fair. And I can get what you're saying about Jared in the last, because I quit Walker. I tried and I quit after whatever episode Duke was. You know, the one where he gets naked, and I was like, fucking hello. It was after that one. I saw that one. I saw him getting changed to the back of the pickup truck. But it was after that one, and I was like, I know you're a better actor than this. I know you can. Why is this so stiff? And
I think he does the best with what he's given, and that's what it is with the end of Supernatural as well.
Yeah, maybe
it was like he was doing the best he could with what was on the page, sort of thing. Because obviously
both of them, to be honest, because they did so many different things with Dean too that were not genuine and didn't feel right to me. You know,
and Jared and Jensen have both spoke about it and basically said, look, there was a lot of things that we had to fight against. So maybe it was a kind of part of that as well towards the end that they did with the best that they could. And they were still fighting, even though they're filming stuff, they were probably still fighting with people as to what it was that it was going to be when it was on screen, sort of thing.
No, that's totally cool. So what was it that kind of sealed the deal for Sam? What was it? The hair? Was it those extra few inches?
I mean, the abs aren't a bad thing, are they? Let's face it.
No,
definitely the hair. The hair was definitely a thing. Season 9 is my favourite Sam hair.
Okay,
even after my own heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 9 is my favourite Sam, but just him as he is. I mean, it helps that we share the same birthday, so I'm like, he's got the same personality as me because he's a Taurus.
Oh, really? Oh, that's really cool.
He's slightly older than me. Only slightly, but he's slightly older than me. But yeah, it was kind of like, we share the same birthday, so we'd be friends, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
But it's just the way he's his person, the way he helps people and he's smart, but he's not like throwing it down you throw all the time, and he's kind of adaptable to the situations that he's in. Obviously, he's very strong and he's very resilient. And he just needs a hug. I just want to give him a hug.
Just needs a cuddle.
That's all.
He just needs a cuddle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm keeping my cuddle in Liverpool. I'm really sorry. If I was a better person, I'd be like, I will give Jared a hug from you, but I can't do that. I'm real sorry.
Well, it's your first one, Kasey.
Side note, that's from me and Stacey.
This is from all of the people in the UK that never fucking see you because you didn't come over here for a decade.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm curious then. Why does Jensen win out over Jared? Is it because you also think that you would commit acts of violence that we won't describe because then Sandra has to cut them out against actual real life Jared? Because Jesus fucking Christ, how does he get through the day?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Good. Yeah, right. Excellent. I've stopped saying what I would do to him because she's like, I have to cut those out.
I have to cut that out. It's too much. It's like, no. So, Kasey, we did this sort of survey a long time back, like in order, right? And it was like Sam, Dean, like Jared, Jensen, like who are your like faves, right? And for you, where's Jared in that? Third. Okay. And then Dean's at the end, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It goes Sam, Jensen, Jared, Dean.
Okay. So Jensen's still up there after Sam for you, right?
Because Jared is not a functioning human being. I don't know how he gets through the day. I love him dearly, endlessly. But if I had to, I can fantasize about having a life with Sam. If I fantasize about having a life with Jared, I'm like, I would commit acts of YouTube censored violence against you, my friend. How do you get through the day? Put your fucking shoes on. What's wrong with you? I don't know. I I just want to know if it's that for other people. You know, I know why I'm like, Jensen sneaks ahead just a little bit because he looks like he might be mildly competent at life.
It's a bit more normal, yeah.
It's not even normal. It's not even the normal that bothers me. Like that doesn't bother me. It's just that Jared's energy would exhaust me. I know it would, because I can't. I only have so many spoons for people with that. You're like, I'm a cat person for a reason. I can't have that kind of like dog energy in. I'd be like, will you just fucking shut up, sit down, and go away? Not necessarily in that order.
It's an interesting thing though. But I mean, people have talked about, like, I also wonder too, like, I just think a lot of what you see of Jared is for show. And I think that's where all of his energy goes. But I don't feel like behind the scenes, he's that way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's probably, I've heard people, you know, say that they feel that he's an introvert, you know, and I think that maybe that energy is just expended for everybody else. And then, you know, maybe at home, he may not know what he's got to do with his kids, but he may not be bouncing the walls all the time.
No, absolutely. But it's this whole concept of the division of emotional labor within a marriage. I've put a lot of thought into my fantastical fantasy life.
Have.
With the men of supernatural. It's the whole division of labor, right? You know for a goddamn fact that man does not have a list in his head. He does not. How many times have they been on stage and Jensen's been like, I lent him a shirt because he brought one. He fucking buys shirts now. He turns up with shirts in Jared's size because he knows Jared ain't going to pack properly. So he's like, I bought you clothes. He just doesn't. He doesn't have a list. I know he doesn't have a list in his head, and that man is list free and ignorant as fuck about it. And that provokes me to mild violence.
So, in your mind, Sam is the opposite of that. Sam has all the lists.
Sam has all the fucking lists. Sam has all the lists. That is not to say that Dean does not have lists. His lists are just different.
Different priorities.
Sam would make sure the electric bill's paid.
Yeah.
Dean would make sure there's food in the fridge. You know, different priorities. That's why they work. But no.
Well, you know what?
Sam's got lists of lists and color coded and
with all the highlight stickers and like a journal and like I feel like I could go away for an extended period of time and things would be pretty similar when I came back to how they were when I left. If it was Sam. I don't know if I could do that with Jared.
That makes sense.
That's all I'm saying. He's an absolutely delightful, beautiful human being, and I cannot wait to meet him. But in AU fantasy land, where he is a romanceable option in my RPG, no.
So it sounds like you and Stacey are pretty much on the same page.
Yeah. That's it. All that to say, I just wanted to check. I just wanted to because for all I knew, she could have been like, yeah, but Jensen sings better. Like it could have just been that. That could have been the edge out. You know, there's a lot of differences between them. So
again, unpopular opinion. I'm not actually that keen on Jensen singing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to sit back while Sandra explodes.
No, I'm not exploding. I will say that, and so it sounds like, Stacey, did you really not get into when you say the fandom, like, did you not realize conventions, fandoms and stuff until you came back? Because I know for me, when I got into watching Supernatural, I really didn't understand all of the fandom stuff until like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 months into I started watching it. And then I started digging. I was like, oh, there's a whole thing going on behind the scenes. Like, did you know of the fandom before you came back?
I didn't know Tumblr was a thing until, I say, 2019. And I was actually I think I was on Reddit for some reason. And I was looking for someone to beta a story for a different fandom. And whilst I was writing that one, I rediscovered some old Supernatural ones that I'd had from way, way, way back in the day. I was like, oh, maybe I'll revitalise one of them. And I put it in a forum on Reddit and basically said, oh, does anybody want a beta? And somebody recommended that I go to Tumblr. But like, oh, there's a whole load of people on Tumblr that will probably do it. So then I discovered Tumblr and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is a lot. a lot. And then obviously I just connected with a few people. I found like the SPN pond and all that on there. So it was just kind of like, oh, let's get let's get into it. And then it just kind of, I think because then I kind of like found my little corner and my people,
Right.
I just found my love for it again. And I was just, this is the best thing ever. And bashed out loads of fanfics.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I guess, asking that question mainly because too, like when I started learning about conventions, I started watching them and started getting really into them. And I think that's when my love of Dean / Jensen really started, to take hold. And when they said he sings, I started cringing. I was like, oh God. Cause I was like, I hope he's not one of those people that thinks he can sing, but can't sing. So the fact that he could sing, I was like, okay, all right. Thank you. I'm good
Thank
now.
God.
Thank God. Because we've had conversations about this too. It's really hard to, I think, when you really love a character or fandom or, like the world, when you start to find out more about the actors, that can either be a good or bad thing. It can sort of just color the show, it can either be a benefit or not. And I think one of the things I loved about the conventions was when I saw Jensen, I was like, he was really giving you little bits of Dean, right? And I was just like, that was like my, oh my God. And Jared was the exact opposite of Sam. And I was like, this is so weird. But I was like so into it too. Like I was like, wow. But then like the more like, every once in a while, like I could see where they pull both of their characters out of them. But I feel like really at the end of the day, like, Jensen is just like, we're just going to level up a bit and there's Dean, like that kind of a thing. So I think that's what kind of drew me into, I think that convention part of it even more. And then I couldn't get enough and I was just like, give me it all. And then pandemic, I was like, Jesus, this is going to be a real big problem. There we were. So did the pandemic sort of also like when you were hunkered down, like, were you able to just dig into shows more and fandoms more? And then that just became like, like a concentrated part of your life for a while. Cause I know it was for me. I mean, it obviously still is for us now, but it was really like, that's all we had. And I know that Supernatural was a big part of that for me.
Oh God, yeah. And I didn't have like the people that I was speaking to on Tumblr and different things. Like, I don't think I'd have gone stir crazy. I'd have lost my mind. I really would have. I'm a recluse anyway. If I don't have to leave the house, I won't leave the house. Like, it feels like a chore to me. Like I've got plans to do nothing. And if you want me to change my plans to do nothing, you need to give me like a month in advance warning. Yeah. So, but then when it was like, the pandemic hit and it's like, you can't go out, then I was like, well, what if I want to? I'm not going to want to, but what if I want to?
It's the lack of control, isn't it? You were told you couldn't, and now, like a defiant child, you go, but I want to.
Oh my God! I was the total opposite. I was like, yes, I get to stay home. I don't have to go out. I was living it. I was like, yes, please. All of the reasons for me to not have to leave the house. I was here for it. I was so here for that. I was just like, yes, stay home. Everybody, stay the hell home.
Oh my gosh. I ended up going back to the office on my own for like, I think maybe just over a year. I was in the office on my own, literally for like a year. So I'd constantly got Supernatural in the background because obviously I was on my own. So it was on the TV as just kind of background noise. And then my boss had phoned me and she was like, pause your TV show. I was like, but it's getting to the good bit. And she was like, just pause it for, she was like, pause it for a second. I was like, fine.
You're interrupting my paid Supernatural time here, friend. What?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Can we I just got to hop back because I know Sandra's going to start like moving forward. I just got to hop back. Talking about you're not a big fan of Jensen singing, and that's totally fine. Have you heard Jared sing?
No, not sure I want to either.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There's only one.
Cannons, let's leave it at that.
That's fair enough. No, there's only one song that he sings on, and it's a Christmas song, and it's the cutest fucking thing. But if you don't want to hear it, that's totally fine. We'll move on.
Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I just liked it because not that many people have heard of it. So I'm like, did you know Jared did a Christmas song?
I didn't actually know. No.
Yeah. So I'm just sharing the love. Just sharing the love. All right, Sandra, you can move forward now. I'll stop now.
No, I think the only other thing too is kind of like favorite characters that you have on the show, besides, of course, Sam and Dean. I mean, I'm guessing. Okay, let's do it this way. If you had to put in order, because now I'm really curious since you said Sam Jensen. If you had to put Sam, Dean, Jared, and Jensen in order for you, how would they fall?
It'd be Sam, Jensen, Dean, Jared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Right.
That is interesting. Refreshers with yours, Sandra.
I think it was Dean, Jensen, Jared, and then Sam, I think, in the beginning. That might have changed though. I'd have to go back and listen. I think that's what my original was, but I think that's changed. Yeah.
And I think as you kind of see like different videos and stuff, and it kind of changes your opinion on things as well. So that's my list for today, but maybe next week it'll be different.
Yeah. I mean, Kasey and I have been doing this for quite a while, and I know that I've learned a lot more about Sam, that's through them. That's really made it, I can connect and understand him more because of them. And that was not the case before. And I think that's just the way the show, because I think that was one of my questions too, like the dynamic between the brothers. They put each other through so much. There's this push and pull, and they hurt each other, but then they come back, and all of this drama and stuff that I think, for a lot of times, and a lot of people have stated too, like the way the show really kind of sets it up towards, I maybe like a good 2/3 of it, you really don't get into Sam's head as much as you're viewing it through a lot of seasons. You're viewing it through Dean, and then they kind of switch that up a little bit when, stuff's happening on Dean's end and it's more Sam. But I think not really knowing a lot of what's going on with Sam made him a harder character for me, to connect with, in that kind of a situation. But I think that's the great thing about the fan fiction too that I've been reading, and like where a lot of people who love Sam and really want to like explore him, seeing those thoughts and reasons behind what he does, or like those kinds of moments, I think have changed that for me. I think Jared was just like, he just seemed so like nutty, crazy fun, and it's just like, again, like I don't think you'd want that all the time. Like you want that in doses. But I think that was one of the reasons too. But I think that was my list. I'll have to go back and double check. But no, that's interesting. But yeah, your thoughts on just the brothers in general, like in their relationship and stuff like that.
I'm so glad. I have to say, I'm so happy. At one point, they do actually acknowledge to each other that like our problem is that we're too dependent on each other. Because it was always like, oh, look, someone's going to die because somebody made a bad decision because they were trying to save the other one. And it's just like, I'm glad they actually say, like, do you realise we are each other's weaknesses? Not that was actually acknowledged at one point. Because, and they see it the way we see it. It's like, oh, we've solved one problem, but we've created 3 more because I wasn't willing to let you die, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was finally kind of addressed at some point. But I have to say, one of my favourite characters is Crowley. I don't think he does not get as much love as he should.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. And again, he was always, I think if we actually watched it back, I don't think he ever told a lie. Like everything he says, he's never lied about anything he was doing. He was always kind of, apart from maybe when it came to the mark, he was kind of upfront, or he admitted after the fact sort of thing. He was like, well, I never actually told you a flat out lie. I just led you down a path I wanted you to go down.
Lies of omission. Yeah, like, no, this will be totally fine, and you won't turn into a rampaging murder machine. No, it will be totally fine. Yeah. Lies of omission, but not an outright deceit. That's interesting. I've never thought of that, actually. He is always very upfront, isn't he? And he's just like, yeah, this is what I want, and you'll do it or you won't.
I'm literally like, the first time the boys meet him, I'm sure Dean says, well, should we trust you? And he actually says, well, you never should. That's one of the first things he says to him, like, well, God, don't trust me, like, don't trust anybody.
Yeah. Oh, Crowley. We love Crowley.
And I love Crowley, and I do love I do think he had a very nice story arc as well, like the whole kind of full circle of being evil but not quite evil, and out for himself, but then actually he sacrificed and stuff.
It's an interesting thing. How about the ending though? Were you upset? He's one of my favorites also. I was so upset when he was taken out of the show. because out of every character that, you know, because you're like, oh, it's supernatural. I'm sure he's going to be back. And then he wasn't.
He'll appear, and then he wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, wait, what? What? No, what do you mean he's not coming back, lads? What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Mary goddamn Winchester got a second go. You Mary. God, I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, Crowley's just one of those really great characters that I don't think you could have had supernatural without him, you know, and I think he's underrated a lot.
For sure.
I guess my next question too, any pairings or like ships in your head that you maybe wish had been, you know, had come to fruition.
And why is it Sam and Jodie?
It's actually Sam and Rowena.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes, that's another one.
I can totally see that. Like that dynamic would just work perfectly.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, that's headcanon for me. That's fun. And they were getting up to some stuff behind the bookshelves in the library.
They were. 100%. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
about
she's
that
definitely
though?
soft
Is it more about like mentor mentee? Like what is it about that you like?
Just
think
need a
it's
tiny
fun.
woman to bond in. We've talked about this, Sandra. Sorry, Stacey.
We're
Go
asking
on.
Stacey right now, Casey.
I think it's kind of the like shared experiences, obviously with the devil and stuff. So it's somebody understands what he's been through.
Mhm.
So it's not somebody he'd kind of have to hide his experiences from. Like obviously, he doesn't really talk about it.
Right.
And I think part of that is because nobody could possibly ever understand it.
Mhm.
But she's kind of been through the same thing, so she would. So I think that's kind of it. Like he needs somebody on his level, somebody that can teach him something, because I think he'd get bored with just a regular Joe Blogs. Oh, she works at a coffee shop kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that scene with Sam and Rowena when they do talk about Lucifer.
And she's in the back of the car.
In the car, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
that's such they're so good in that together, and just the vulnerability. You know, you see Ruth is such a good actress too. Yeah,
And he's totally impressed when he sees that she's now the queen of hell. I'm like, yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
We
and he
were
goes and
all
gets her a
impressed.
drink and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, he's very obedient. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
people are thinking about something going on over here.
I maintain my original statement. He is an enormous moose of a man, and he needs a little tiny diminutive woman to dom the fuck out of him.
Out of him, yes, I agree.
Yes. You know, and we're going to deliberately stay clear of apparently Jared's similar provocations there. And his love for small, tiny women that may or may not dom the fuck out. Sandra, I'm going to have to get you to cut so much of this shit. I can't look this man in the face.
I mean, let's face it, everyone's short compared to him. So
Yeah,
That's true. That is true. And I'm from our Discord, AJ met him at All Hell Breaks Loose in Melbourne a couple of months ago now in March. And in her picture, she's like pretty, like not close in height to him, because nobody's close in height to him. But she's not as short as everyone else seems. And I'm like, how high were the heels you were wearing, babe? And she's like, they're about 4.5 inches. Fucking hell. I'm wearing flats. We're going to need to zoom the camera right the fuck out to get us both in. It's going to be a problem.
Oh goodness.
The splits, bless him.
The splits are so cute. Yeah. When you realize what he has to do to get him to contort himself into a picture, it's quite cute. Oh goodness. So I guess kind of like bringing it back to the fan fiction part. When did your love of fan fiction start? Because I'm assuming it wasn't with Supernatural, and like, or did Supernatural sort of start it off? Like, how did that journey begin for you with fan fiction?
So again, just a young kind of teenager. I think Buffy was probably one of the first ones I ever wrote for.
Okay.
And then discovered FFnet, which I don't even think, is it still going? Is fanfiction still going?
I think it is.
Still going,
yeah. So I did look on there the other week, but I don't know. It never looked like it's been updated or anything to me. And I think I first posted in 2003. Again, aging myself. I was a teenager.
Okay.
But my first Supernatural was actually for a Dean fic in 2006, I think. So again, literally, it must have been like, oh, I've watched 4 or 5 episodes. Oh, I can write something about these guys. So,
oh, nice.
And there's a few other embarrassing fandoms on there that we won't get into, and obviously they're all so cringe when you read them back. I'm like, what were you thinking? It's kind of, you can see the progress where I've aged and got better.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing, right?
That's great, though.
You're not going to be, you're not going to be great at it when you first start. So I think it's opening up and admitting, yes, there was a starting point to this, and that's what it was. So is there any reason why it was Dean and not Sam? Did it just seem easier to write something?
I think, again, I don't, probably unpopular opinion, it didn't seem as complex as Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the first one I ever wrote is ever like in character for Dean. It was just kind of like, oh, it seems like the easiest one on the surface level to write for, sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. So what others, because I went through your AO3. So did you post primarily on fanfiction.net first, or was there another platform that you used?
So no, I was on there for a long time. And then obviously I don't remember when I did kind of update on there as I started posting to Tumblr. Okay. And then I think, again, from being on Tumblr, then someone's told me about AO3, and I went to AO3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's one Dean one that's also cross-posted on Wattpad, maybe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did Wattpad for a little while too. Yeah, I remember doing that. Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of like, see what works, what gets the engagement sort of thing.
Did you notice one fandom more popular over another at different platforms, out of curiosity?
Tumblr definitely gets more interaction for your supernatural stuff, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, there's a lot of restrictions on FNet and all that. So, yeah, I think Tumblr's a bit more forgiving, isn't it? So I do still get kudo emails every day for AO3. So it's still doing something somewhere.
Yeah. So I know you primarily, from what I could see, it's a lot of reader inserts, a lot of OFC. And I'm almost done with Samnesia, which I'm really enjoying a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go through that. But I was curious, fanfic tropes that you gravitate towards, either reading or writing. Because I have to say, with Samnesia, you made me realize how much I adore the amnesia thing and how much I've used it myself and did not realize until I read yours. I was like, oh, you know what? I do this a lot. I like this. I like this thing. So I didn't know if that was something that you had just maybe tried once, or you've maybe you like reading, or just like fanfic tropes that you like to read, write, all those things.
I didn't know troops was an actual thing. Like, obviously, from back in the day when I started posting, I was just like, what? Like, I come to Tumblr and everyone's using all this jargon and different words, and I'm like Googling every single one.
Oh, I was doing the same thing. Yes, absolutely. I had no idea.
I still do it now. I'm like, what does this mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm doing it all the time. I'm like, Kasey, what does this mean? Kasey's my Googler.
I'm already on all the lists, so I'm like, yeah, I'll Google it, babes. Don't even worry about it.
Me and Kim have got our own server. Like, we've got a server on Discord, and I call it the stamp of approval, because I need her stamp of approval before I'll post anything. But we've got different rooms, like chats for different fics that we're writing, and there's this like general one, and then I've got one that's called Google, because she's my Google. I'm like, Kim, does this make sense? And if I was to do this, is this going to work? Like, and she's got like this whole knowledge of the whole, like, so much knowledge that I'm not just like, Kim's going to give me the answer quicker than I could be if I could search through 300 pages of Google.
Yeah.
Yep. So, absolutely.
But I'm still not down with all the jargon.
Okay.
But mostly, I think angst. I'm such a sucker for angst. There's probably a bit of angst in everything I write and read, because I'm just. I like a bit of angst, lots of fluff, idiots in love, enemies to lovers, hurt, comfort. I'm not too bothered about smut. Like, it can be smut adjacent, but I'm not really that bothered about reading it or writing it. I don't think it's kind of, sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, it needs it to be in this story, but other times I'm just like, oh, I can just kind of imply it and it doesn't need to be written.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're more like closed door, like that kind of a situation.
Yeah. I mean, there is a scene in Samnesia that I'm actually quite happy that that's one of my favourite smut scenes that I've written. But I felt like that was needed for the development of their relationship.
Yeah.
To kind of show that. But other ones, I'm just like, oh, I can just kind of get to a point and go, right, okay, it happened, move on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tasteful fade to black. I love that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could.
Yeah,
do that.
we
there are
tend to-
no fade to blacks in mine.
We tend to end
Explicitly
up
detailed.
porny plot or plotty porn kind of sometimes situation, I think. Or we're like, oh, this would be so great, to write. And then you're like, well, wait, there should be some plot.
No plot. No plot in my Google Docs. I didn't authorize all this plot coming in here, fucking up my porn.
Oh gosh. I was noticing that coming from a person that like I write romance, and I could just tell just from Samnesia, which kind of feels it's just romance, mystery, thriller, drama, angst, all of these like really big emotions, and kind of like moments. I'm really enjoying the ride with that. I like when a writer takes a character, an OFC, and even though you're kind of like you're plugging somebody into that world, you still give her her own motives and her own insecurities and her own backstory, which I thought you're doing really well. She's independent, but still needy, and she's getting over a really long relationship that really gutted her, and it's just like trying to rebuild and isn't really sure how much she wants to give, again to Sam, and then throw in the fact that now she's lost, any recollection of Sam, and trying to figure that whole mystery out is I'm liking it a lot. I'm interested in seeing how it's going to end. And I liked how you had sort of, you were saying, you don't really talk, you don't necessarily do a lot of smut, but I liked, I think it was like the day after Sam had come back and you were talking about all the different places that they had sex. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. 4 times, go Sam.
Right, my man is a stallion. God damn it.
Yes. Always is. It's fanfic is allowed.
Stallion.
No, I really did like that. And I liked how I thought Dean was very authentic too, and his sort of like big brother, trying to give him the reality of the situation, but still you kind of get that he does really like Brooke too, and he's like, he kind of sees how she could be very good for him. But again, they have to overcome those barriers of, do they want to put each other, in their lives for all of these other reasons that they think aren't good reasons, and I just wanted to shake Brooke when she was like, I was like, again, I was like, are we going to do this again? You're going to say, no, I don't want to do this to you, Sam. I was like, yep, here we go. Here we go again.
I do feel like I break his heart too much, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Sam. I didn't mean it.
But no,
yeah, but he looks so pretty.
Yeah,
he looks so pretty when you do that, though, because that keeps happening to me, and I'm like, baby, I'm so sorry, but also, have you considered not looking so fucking good on your knees? Like, I feel like you could meet me halfway here, babes. Just a little bit,
Oh,
and also, don't take that much responsibility for that, because if the way that you write Sam is anything like the way that I write Sam and the way Sandra finds Sam when she writes him, he's a pain in the ass to write. He'll just have a tantrum and just be like, nope, this is not, no. And just like fully storm off and do a hair flip and just, nah. And then you're left there going, my plot? What the fuck happened?
Like, come back, Sam, I'm sorry.
Like, I just feel like this is really vital for your story here, babes, and I'm gonna need you to come out of the cupboard and stop fucking sulking and get back to your mark, please, because this is unnecessary. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
What inspired you to write Samnesia and the whole amnesia thing? And I love the title. That's so great.
Samnesia's
it's so
cute.
Great. It's so great.
It.
What gave you that idea?
So I don't remember what show I was watching. I was watching another show, and in that show, the main character escapes a bad date. She climbs out of the window to escape a really bad date. And I was just like, oh, but what's she going to do now? Like, okay, she's in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, well, how does she get out? And I can't remember what happened to her, but I was just like, oh, how would that work in the supernatural world? So that scene where Brooke escapes the bad date and then she sneaks into the back of the Impala because it's the only car door that's open and Sam's already in the car. And that was the first scene I had. And I was just going to leave it at that. And I was just like, oh, it's just a bit of he's met a girl. It's a bit fun. He's helped her. He saved the day. Off she goes. Yeah. And then it just spiraled. It just spiraled as it does. It just, like I said, I was like, I need the build up to get to here. I need to explain how she got to the bad date. I need to explain why Sam was there. And then it was like, okay, now you need to explain what happens after. And it just spiraled. But I started that in 2019 and then didn't post it until I've got so many different ideas, and I've Brooke, like you say, I'm glad you like Brooke because she's got so much backstory written in random documents that are completely irrelevant to the story that I just had to get out of my head.
Because you have it, right? So because you know as the author. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just there and I was just like, I need to get it out of my head. So I've got like masses and masses of documents that are just like random scenes of her past that were never going to be in the final thing, but I just needed to write it for myself. But we got there in the end. But I say, if it wasn't for Slitherkins, which is Tara on Tumblr, she helped me so much with it, so much with it. And I like a lot of tough love. I'd rather you tell me something's crap, or I'd rather you tell me, oh, this could be better, or you've gone in the wrong direction. I'd rather somebody tell me that than post something that's crap and people aren't going to like, sort of thing. And she was a brilliant sounding board. She must have spent about 3 hours going through a document one of the nights, and I woke up and I'd got like 300 edits. And then the Google Doc crashed and it wouldn't let me get in it.
Oh,
honestly, and I've still got them on my Google Docs now, and it still to this day does not let me go in it. And I think it's because somebody said that you can only have so many edits and comments and suggestions and stuff within one document. And because it had been going on for so long, I think I'd reached that point, so it literally just crashed. The only thing it would let me do was copy into separate documents without the comments.
Gotcha.
So she had to go over it all again to do what she originally said. And I felt so bad. I thought, I need to do something for you to say thank you because you've done so much for me. Yeah. I was heartbroken. I was like, it's crashed. Like I can't get it back. Like I had the full on like meltdown.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That scares me just hearing that. Yeah, because I've noticed that. I've noticed that too. Like at least with really long documents, because I used to be a Word. Like, and I still go back to Word, like to format and stuff when I have to do my original fiction. But I noticed that with Google Docs, when it starts to get really long, it takes a while to load and you're just like crossing fingers. And every once in a while, I'm like, I need to download this. I need to download this somewhere so that just in case, something happens, I'll have it. Oh yeah, that's a scary.
Yeah, all my chaptered fics now, whatever. So chapter 1 is its own document, chapter 2 is its own document, chapter 3, and I do it like that because I'm just like, at least if one fails, it wouldn't be so bad as to losing the whole thing. But
my beta,
I was devastated.
I bet my beta dreamer has she's not crashed, but she's like pushed the limits for a couple of Google Docs for one story. So she ended up with like chapters 1 to 3 in one, and then like part 1 of chapter 4 in another, and then part 2 in another, because they would take they just chugged, they just would not load for her properly. So there's you think Google's infinite, but there's limits, guys.
There is, definitely. But so it still shows up on mine. So if I scroll far enough back now, it actually says like the original document, it's got like 400 and something suggestions or something that it pops up. And it still doesn't let me go, maybe one day it'll update itself or something. And it just doesn't. It was terrible.
Oh my goodness.
I gotta say, for Samnesia, Sandra sent me the link a couple of weeks ago because she's prepared. And I went, I'll read that. And then I'm not prepared. So I'm not sitting here quiet because I don't have anything good to say about it. I'm sitting here quiet because I haven't read it and I'm really sorry.
That's fine.
It's in my tabs. Like it's open in my tabs. I'm ready for it. I just haven't been able to read for a little while. So I'm real sorry.
I get it. I'm going through a whole. I feel like a fraud at the moment with writing. I've given up on everything for the past few months. I'm just just deleting it. I'm going to retire. I'm not doing anything else. Nothing's working. Nothing's happening. So I'm just like, no, give myself a break. Just ignore everything.
Give
pretend it doesn't exist for a while.
You have
give yourself a break. Yeah.
When that's not helping, because everybody gets down, and like I was talking to Kasey about it. I'm like, we got to give Stacey a little injection of don't worry, you're not the only one that goes through imposter syndrome. Like it's just a thing, either you don't have time, life won't let you, your brain space won't let you, there's other things that just don't give you, because I don't know, Stacey, if you're, because we're having more conversations about why people write, and Kim was actually one of the people that had kind of given me this idea, and we did this little poll of like, why do you write? And like, if you put your blorbos through a lot of angst or like traumatic situations, like what's the reasoning behind that? And I think I've come to the conclusion about myself that I don't necessarily write to process my emotions. I write more, it's more of an escape for me. And sometimes I do get into stuff, but it's more like I want to get away from reality. And I know other writers, you know, will use a story to process something, to I've heard people use like exercise, like, you know, like exercise something out of there, you know, like or refashion it or change it, change the ending. And I was wondering how you approach, right? And do you, because you said you like angst, is there a reason why, you know, you think you like to do that, or like why do you write what you write?
It's like I say, it's an escape. It's it's you get these images in your head, and it's just like I'm always daydreaming, and it's just like, oh, that'd make a good story, or just to write it down sometimes to get it out of my head. But yeah, mainly to escape. I mean, I have written different things that are kind of, like I say, a bit of a therapy session for myself, or to process something that's going on in my life or whatever. But yeah, mainly just to escape and kind of, oh, I wonder what Sam would do in this situation, because we're never gonna see it now. We're never gonna get that kind of thing. So it's like, oh, I want to put Sam, or like I see something on a TV show or something. It's like, oh, well, what would Sam do, or what would Dean do, or and it just kind of sparks from that, or like kind of a song. I hear a song lyric and I'm like, oh my God, that's so Sam, or that's so Dean, or so yeah, it's just like I have to get it out, sort of thing. But yeah, it's mainly the escapism. I mean, I've got quite a cushy job. I'm quite lucky in the job that I've got, so I can have a days in a week basically, and I'll say to my boss, look, I've done everything, is there anything I need you to do? And she's like, oh no, do what you want, and I can sit and watch Netflix. Do you know what I mean? Until she's got, like she's like, oh, actually, no, can you do this for me, or can you do this report for me, or something? So I'm like, so that time I could be writing. So then when I get that time and I can't write, it's just like, well, what's wrong? Like, you've got time. Like, I only seem to be able to write when I should be doing something else.
Such is the way, isn't it? We have time.
It is.
Time and no ideas, or ideas and no time. And you're like, lads, please, can you just get together and work out a schedule, please?
Yeah, 100%.
One thing I've like glommed onto a little bit more, like when people say writing, it's not just the writing process. Sometimes it's just thinking about the scene, or like you said, what would Sam do? What would Dean do? Those are all building blocks to writing. So just because you're not not putting pen to paper or typing it out on a keyboard doesn't mean you're probably not writing. It could be that you're just like building up to something, or like you said, sometimes you just need a break, and sometimes you need other things to fill your mind with ideas. Like you kind of, it's like you only have so much fuel in your tank, and when you've exhausted it, it needs something it needs a spark of something to get you to want to write. So are you not writing have you not been writing like in any fandom right now? Or is it kind of just Supernatural? Or is it just kind of like it's just been a little dry spell for a while?
So the last thing I posted, I think, was back in February, which was for Kim's bingo for the J Ackles verse bingo.
We're all part of it.
We're all doing it. I've still got some squares left on that, and I've got quite a lot of the first time I've ever tried an AU, because I'm very like, no, they should be in their world. I can be very averse to an AU, and I don't know why. I like them in the world that they're supposed to be in. Like you said, to see how they would react in that situation, sort of thing, or how would it alter the storyline if this happened at this point and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm not really into AUs. I have read them and I will read them, but I've never written one.
Okay.
So I had this. I saw a post on, I think it was Instagram, and it must have been like a screenshot or something from Tumblr. And it was about basically you lose your wallet, and some mobster finds it and realizes that you're broke, you've got no money, and all this. So he starts sending you money and clothes, and then one day then you get a key through the door or something, and it's like, oh, this is your new house, go and live in your new house and stuff. And for some reason, it just sparked Dean vibes to me. So I was just like, oh, Dean could be a bit of a mobster boss, and we'll try it. So literally hashed all the details out with Kim, and she was like, oh yeah, this did work, or that's brilliant, and no, that wouldn't work, or this will work. And I just started writing it, and I felt like I must have got maybe 5,000 words done in about 3 days.
Wow.
And I was really like, oh, this is really good. I'm loving it. Like, I can do what I want almost because I'm not tied to supernatural. So I still want Dean to be in character, but obviously different situations he is going to be different. I can't keep him completely in character. So I've got a bit of freedom to do what I wanted almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I've got so far into it, and I don't even want to look how many words where I'm at. I'm probably at about 20,000 words, and I'm just stumped now.
Wow.
I've read it back to myself, and I'm just like, I hate it. I hate every single word I've written.
It's finished then. That means it's finished. That means it's ready. Send it to the beta. It's ready.
Yeah. It's like, I know exactly where I want it to go. I know exactly how it's going to end, and I've got 24,000 words. There you go. I've just opened the doc.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I hate every single word. I'm just like, it just feels like it's so basic. I don't know. I just don't know what it is. I said to Kim, I can't put my finger on it to say, this is what I don't like. This is what needs to be different. Like, I just can't put my finger on it as to why I need it to be different. But I just don't like any of it.
Aww.
It's just not vibing at the moment.
It's just not vibing. So,
and maybe the time away is just kind of what you need from it, because it sounds like, you've invested a lot in it. That's one of the things. I actually got a couple of my AUs switched out because I think for me on the bingo squares, I was going to attempt them, but then I was like, this is so much backstory. This is so much world building, even if it's not technically, even if it's a scenario that a lot of people are used to. In my mind, I was like, this is a lot to work
take on.
Yeah. And I think the only one I've kept, I have a choreographer AU, and I've actually figured out a way to kind of make it, I think, just fun and not as like, but I haven't even touched it yet because I'm just like, this just seems like it's going to be a lot. I'm going to try to not make it a big deal, but by itself, just the fact that it's got universe in the title, it just makes it feel big, and it's like, you've got to give it the space it needs, being that it's this thing. So, I think the concept sounds great. And I know I've read other like mobster AUs, and Dean definitely could fill that, role. I think well, especially when you talk about the surface, right? Like the surface layer and then what's underneath, and it could be the same. It could be a little different. It could be a little nastier than the Dean we know. It could be, maybe a little harder and harder to crack and stuff like that. So I get it though, the whole, but give yourself time away. Definitely. If you're feeling that way about it.
I said to Kim, I'm going to take a break. Otherwise I might just kind of decide to say, you know what, I'm just using Dean as a face clown and not have to keep him as in character. Maybe that's what's stumping me. And I'm just like, well, no, because there's things that happened that are quite Dean. And I don't know, like, and I was like, am I going to confuse people because it's Dean, but when he meets the OC, he actually introduces himself as Jensen because obviously he's a mobster, so he's trying to hide who he is. So I'm just like, is that going to confuse people? Am I confusing myself that I'm doing Dean and I'm just like,
but you could go with that too. You could
Yeah.
definitely lean into that. I mean, I read something too where it was very much like, it was a J2 fic, and it was very much like Jensen taking on this persona that kind of felt a lot like what Dean would be, like, like upping it a little bit, like in certain ways. So yeah, you could definitely play with that a little bit. I don't think you confuse people. I think people who know the characters and, that would definitely be along for that kind of a ride. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist for a while and see what happens.
That works. That works.
That works.
I'm only working on my big work in progress now, because if it doesn't go out before May, it's been a year since I updated the series, and that upsets me for some reason. I'm like, that's too long. That's no, you have to do something with it. So turns out waiting until pretty close to the deadline is real effective for me. I get some shit done. But I am a huge fan of being like, I detest this. I need to step away, look at something else, do something else, don't write anything for a little while and just kind of like reset. You can burn yourself out on anything. So
100%. Yeah.
Just give yourself a bit of a reset and, maybe come back to
it's
it.
Always it's always the ones that you're like, oh, I've had this great idea, and it's just like, oh yeah, that you get so far and it's just like, okay, nothing. And it's just it's the frustration of like,
yeah,
I
but
just want to get it done.
I find that it's because those great ideas they tend to come with a lot of backstory, you know, and you tend to have to like backfill a lot of the, you know, you'll have like this great idea and it'll just be like this one scene. Like, yeah, what if Dean does, you know, steal your wallet, or you drop your wallet and Dean finds it and realizes you broke, and that's great. But then you got to backfill a whole bunch of shit, and you're like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this.
Sign on for this.
Yeah. I have seen that Tumblr post, and I think one of the replies was, I'd pledge my allegiance to the mob, and I'm like, yes, I would. If somebody finds my wallet and decides I'm too broke to be alive and they're going to pay my bills, yeah, whatever. Give me a fedora and tell me who I need to kill. I swear my allegiance.
Yeah.
Really cute idea.
I'm all in. Yeah.
I love that. That's real cute.
Oh, goodness.
I looked at my bingo card, and Kim was nice enough to not give me any AUs as a total anti to bingo. She was like, you don't need that in your life.
Yeah. It's not even an AU on the card. It's just kind of where my mind went for the prompt. I was already kind of working on it.
Gotcha.
And then the prompt that she gave me, I was like, oh, that fits.
Okay.
And then and then maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the pressure of making it fit. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's just step away and come back to it and be like, all right, let's take another look. Fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just as long as it takes is as long as it takes. You know, I mean, I think that's the thing you have to realize about it too, is, you know, you might want to get to the end quicker, but it's not going to get there until
there's no deadline, and I think sometimes you can tell when someone's kind of forced something to get it done at a certain date and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Samnesia, you said you didn't. So did you not post it until it was pretty much all the way finished? Was that the deal with Samnesia?
So I kind of hate start reading a story or something, and then you get to the point, it's like, oh, the next chapter's not there. So I am one of these that I will only read something in its entirety until it's not completely finished.
Gotcha.
So I won't post anything until I know the whole thing is finished.
Okay.
So I had all the ideas for Samnesia, but I knew the ending wasn't quite right. And I could never, again, like you say, I could never quite put my finger on what it was. And then I was just like, oh, I actually went back and changed like things at the beginning to make the end work better. So I was like, if I'd have posted it, then I'd have screwed myself. I wouldn't have been able to do that, or I'd have had to do edits and stuff. So again, that was one that I left alone for probably majority of it. Like there was probably 80% of it done, and then I kind of walked away from it for a year or so, and then went back to it.
Okay.
So it was just getting it to exactly where I wanted it to be, and I say because Tara had put so much work into it and she'd done such a good job at being the beta, I was like, I didn't want to post it for the sake of posting it. I wanted it to be perfect because I felt like I kind of owed it to her almost to make sure it was good as it could be, because she'd done so much for me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, is Slitherkins, was that beta and all the art?
No, so Slitherkins was the beta, and then the art was, is it Tails? I can't think of a name.
Okay.
Tail, I think it is it? I'm sure I tagged her on it. She does loads. So she does, if you go on a page, she's lovely. I was like, oh, I'm willing to pay and stuff. And I'm like, because there was like 14 or 15 that I needed.
Yeah.
And she was lovely. She made all the edits and stuff.
The headers are so beautiful. I love those.
Yeah.
I love them, and I love the like the line breaks and all that stuff. It that kind of, you can tell there was a lot of, like you said, you put a lot into the story to make sure it was kind of ready, and it feels very novel, novel like when you see stuff like that. So yeah, I was just like, oh, these are so good. Like the headers and everything are beautiful. And then that one picture of Sam in the car, just beautiful. That's a gorgeous portrait of him. Yeah.
It was Tails Maniac 89 that did all the graphics. Okay. And then the picture itself was by Tara.
Okay.
So Slitherkin, she was the better than the artist, yeah.
They're beautiful. Aww. They're so beautiful. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Kasey, but
any kind of way.
Yeah, it's in the first chapter, but it's a gorgeous portrait of Sam.
I go look.
It's awesome. He's
in live reaction.
He's in the Impala, and he's like, yeah, you could tell he's like he's being surprised at, who the heck is this in my backseat situation. It's so good. It's so good.
And she surprised me. She didn't tell me she was going to do it either. She just sent it to me like, oh my
That's lovely. That's so wonderful. Yeah.
And this is in Samnesia?
Mm-hmm.
It's in chapter 1, chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's so
The
pretty.
hair and everything and the
that.
expression, and you could tell like he's on his computer because of the light. It's
The
just
blue light. That's beautiful.
it's
So good, isn't it?
beautiful.
That's
It's really beautiful.
I love that. I love the header as well.
Yeah. It's so nice to have so much talent, you know, in this fandom to kind of work together with on bringing something to fruition.
Mhm.
So
And everyone's so nice and so willing to help. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a few people that I've spoken to before, like received like hate and stuff, and they get like really horrible asks and stuff. And I've never had that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of lucky in that sense. And I just think, oh, everyone's so lovely that I've met and spoken to, and I've actually met all the people in real life and stuff, which, you know, your mum's like, don't meet people from the internet.
But I'm one of those people. I'm one of those internet people.
Mum.
I'm the person from the internet now. It's a mutual strangers on the internet thing. Yeah.
Oh
I
goodness.
totally get it.
I mean, you seem to be a great, I called it like behind the scenes buddy, partner in crime to Kim. And I know you've, from our discussion with her, you sort of helped with the Jackals verse like bingo concept and kind of tested it out with another bingo called How Bad Can It Be? Bingo.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a bit? Like what that was about? And like, did you partake in that as well?
I did. So if I remember rightly, we were both in a bit of a, oh, nothing's working, like the whips aren't whipping, and it's just like, we need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, I feel like writing something, like, I'm always like, oh, this is really bad. It reads like a toddler wrote it or something, like if I've done something and then she comes in and fixes it and makes it wonderful. And I'm just like, maybe I just need to write something that's bad. Just get it out of my system to kind of like, this is awful. Like, let's make it as bad as I can possibly make it. And I was like, oh, well, let's have some fun with it and see if anybody else is interested.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kind of took it from there. And it was really fun, to be fair, to see how bad it could be and all the prompts and stuff that we found. It's like all the kind of cliches that you don't, like, how many cliches can you fit in one thing and stuff like that. It was all, it was all in the spirit of a bit of good fun. I think, was it during the pandemic, I think? Might have been during the pandemic. So it was kind of like, again, just something to get a bit of interaction with different people and just a bit of fun to be had, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can you still find, is that primarily like, could we find those on Tumblr? Is it on AO3? Is there like a tag or something? Or is that still a thing? Or was it just something you guys did within like a Discord or something?
No, there's a whole blog still on Tumblr.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's literally How Bad Can It Be Bingo? Is it hyphen bingo or just bingo?
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Cool.
How Bad Can It Be Bingo? But they're all on there.
Cool.
Oh, that's great.
Cool.
I love that. I'm a sucker for some cliches and some tropes that some of them you're like, oh, this again. But then sometimes you're like, I can never read enough of this. Jesus.
Well, it's kind of too, like, I'm realizing how much I love the amnesia thing. Like, I love it. And I know it's like cliche and, you know, soap operas just like lean on it heavy. But for some reason, man, the idea of like wiping the slate clean, you know what I mean? And then like having to have somebody sort of build it back again, or how does it work out the second time around if that's not, you know what I mean? It's like, does it still come out the same, or all those kinds of things? So it's, I definitely, I like it. So if you couldn't tell, I really like Samnesia.
not on Samnesia. I disagree with Sandra on the amnesia trope. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. I just realized I do. Yeah, I like it a lot. And probably putting people under like in comas and stuff. And I didn't think I'd like that. And I realized I do that. I do that with my female characters. And I was like, oh my God, I've done this twice now. So I'm thinking this is a thing. This is a thing that I do.
You're turning into a supernatural writer where you use unconsciousness as a scene transition. It's like, wham, floaty hair, next scene.
There we go.
When I was looking through to see, obviously you asked a lot about which ones that you could read for the fix.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back, I was like, Jesus Christ, I write a lot of cheating in my fix that everybody gets cheated on. I was like, maybe I need to see somebody about that.
No, it's probably fine. Look, I won't. You don't have to see somebody about all the cheating that comes up in your fix if I don't have to see somebody about all of junkies. Like, we'll make a pact. It'll be totally fine. It'll be totally
That's
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
I just think that's just the best catalyst for angst. So that's
Well,
obviously where my
is,
brain
though.
goes. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, it kind of just leads to, just angst in general. Like,
Although, thinking about it, I don't think I've ever made Sam cheat. Dean cheats a lot, but I don't think I've ever made Sam cheat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or Sam, and Sam's never been cheated on. So maybe it's a Dean thing in my head.
Yeah.
Well,
that's definitely interesting.
that would definitely. I can feel Sandra seething with rage. That's a very Dean. I don't think Dean cheats. I think Dean just talks his way around exclusivity. That's all it is. He's a girl in every pot kind of guy. Sandra's going to stab me.
No, I believe no, because I think this goes back to our talks about Dean really not being able to connect with a lot of people. Like he's that in the moment guy, right? Like, I think he wants it, but I think he doesn't know how to get it. And then I think, I get that. I think there was even like a girl in every port thing that people wrote about. Like people were supposed to write about Dean having a girl in every port. I think I remember seeing that somewhere on Tumblr, or maybe it was on AO3.
Probably.
Where, it's just like, again, because they are so very nomadic anyway for a very long period of time. And even like when they're in the bunker, they still don't really, there's no
they still travel
connection. Yeah. There's no person right aside from each other to come back home to. So I think there's that part of it too, so no, I get that. I definitely can see that. I think that he gets accused of cheating a lot or not knowing what the heck he's doing. Like, I think I'm just thinking of one episode in particular where, like, again, it's the amnesia episode. We're not going to go there, Casey. But the not remembering and then like getting accused of like, mistreating somebody, and he has no clue as to what he just doesn't think about it. I think it's like, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
I think he sees sex as a transaction. With Dean.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Dean. Sandra's going to have to go and write something horribly fluffy now about how he loves his female character, and he would never.
No, I definitely.
I just think, like, I don't know what it is. I think if you try to write cheating on Sam, I think like season 7 tired in the mental hospital in the white outfit, Sam would come to you just with his little sad puppy dog face, and he's all tired and like a lot crazy. Just, that he's sat on the bed and it's a head tilt. It's a gif, and he's just tilting his head to look at the door, and it's just, it's like a dog looking at you because you've got the last bite of a cheeseburger and it's going, please,
I'm starving.
Can you imagine? You're seeing that face, and then you're gonna write somebody stepping out on Sam. You just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Just.
Well, I think because you see Sam too, like actually having relationships aside from Dean with Lisa. You know what I mean? Like really, like giving things a go. I think are different for Sam.
Yeah. If we think about it, I bet you Sam has got an on-screen body count that's higher than Dean's.
On-screen body count?
Yeah. So I feel like we see Sam with more women than we see Dean with.
Now, when you say see with, are we talking about actually in the act, or are we talking about the particular scene where Dean is like in the vest and he gives the thumbs up in the motel and he's going to go fuck somebody in the motel? Like, does that count as an on-screen thing, or is that just...
Yeah, that counts. But then you've got like obviously Soulless Sam. Yeah. Like the Soulless Sam. So we see him with 2 different people then. You see him, he sleeps with the doctor in one of them.
Love and Violence, yeah.
Yeah, Amelia.
So do you think Dean is inflating his count more?
Yeah. Sam sleeps with somebody in Baby as well, doesn't he? In the actual episode that's called Baby. Yeah.
Piper. Yeah. Madison and Hart.
See? Yeah, I think Sam's got an on-screen body
Might
count.
be right,
That's more.
Sandra.
We may have to go back and look at this again. We may have to.
We may have
Google
to go back and count the things.
I think we
I'm
literally
gonna
have a
do-
document somewhere from our archives that we'll have to look at to double check that. But yeah, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's more about maybe Dean's telling or mentioning. Maybe not as much. Sam doesn't necessarily talk about his conquests. As
Sam
much.
shows, he doesn't tell.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You gave
Wow.
us
Look at-
something new to talk about, Stacey.
Look at this. I did not expect my thoughts to be challenged in this way. How excellent. I was like, we've got a Sam fan coming on. It's going to be fucking sweet. It's going to be, and then you're like, I think this and I think that. And I'm like, holy shit, really though?
What? Yeah. Well, Eileen as well. We forgot Eileen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain refuses to count for Dean past Anna and Cassie and Lisa. And that's only 3. Sandra said I might outfuck Dean.
Yeah, I think he does.
I think
You
that
alright?
And
Dean does more flirting. That's the thing, though. Too
He
again,
and who's the hunter that they both sleep with? Is it Annie?
yes,
Is it Annie? They both
I
sleep
think
with the
it's
hunter.
Annie.
They both admit, yeah.
and so does Bobby.
Yeah.
I love Annie. Annie was
Annie.
great.
Ruby as well. So Sam slept with Ruby.
Annie's only in one episode, Kasey. Season 7.
No, I called an NPC in Junkies Annie.
Oh, you
And
did.
that's
You
what
did.
struck me. I was like, what?
Yeah. She's the ghosty. She's the ghosty that gets. Did you get to that episode yet in season 7?
Oh no, I've seen it.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
up to it again now, but I have seen it. But I just
Okay.
didn't.
Yeah.
Put the names together. I
Yeah.
didn't put the names together.
Yeah.
I did call her husband Rob though.
Okay.
And that's not actually in direct reference to Rob Benedict, but my
Mhm.
brain kept going, call it Ted, and I was like, you can't fucking do that. And also, I couldn't do that anyway, but I really couldn't do that because Dean was going to fucking punch him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't
No.
do that.
You don't want to let my husband know that part because I've already had to explain a situation about one husband and I'm like, it's not you, sweetie. Don't has nothing to do with you. He's like, what? You killed him? I was like, yes, but it's not you. It's not you.
Oh, poor Ted. Ted,
yeah,
I'm
poor
so
Ted.
sorry.
Poor Ted. It's fine. He's fine. He'll be good with it. God, bringing it away from Ted.
Moving back onto Sam out fucking Dean on screen.
That's interesting. We are definitely going to have to
now.
look at that. Yeah. I was going to ask too, because you mentioned about Kim and you guys have your own like little Discord and like bouncing off ideas. Do you beta for a lot of other writers, or how does that process work for you? Or is it kind of just like a couple people that you just bounce off ideas?
I do beta for a few people.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know Cockslut Padalecki, and if you don't, you probably do now.
I've heard the
Lisa.
name.
Heard the name.
Yeah.
Writer Cole, obviously Kim. I'm kind of I'll offer my services to anybody, but it still has to be a story that I would be interested in, if that makes sense. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of picky,
Yeah.
and I do feel like I'm kind of brutally honest with people, so they kind of have to like my style of the way I would beta, because I'd rather be honest than like beat around the bush.
Do you have
totally.
discussions in the beginning with people like, what is it that you want from me? And I think
so
I
I'll
can
just
do
say,
that
like,
or I can't.
yeah. So I'll kind of go, right, this is the way I would do it. And just
Mhm.
like, if you're still down, like they'll send me and I'll go, right, I'll do like the first chapter or I'll do the first few paragraphs. If you
Mhm.
don't agree, then obviously feel free to say no. Like, I'm not very easily offended. So if somebody says, actually, it's not what I'm looking for, then that's fine, sort of thing.
Mhm.
But I love to be a beta. I feel like I've got a backstage pass to watch like your favourite show being filmed and stuff. And obviously
It's
you make
great.
yeah, it is. And you make suggestions and then they write it. And it's like, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think it's great, yeah. And then the amount of times that I'll be reading through Kim's stuff and I'll be like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be beta and go back. And I have to go back and start again because I'm like, oh shit, did I miss anything? Sort of thing.
Mhm.
I don't beta for my beta, but we like idea bounce with each other. And we're both doing the Wincest Big Bang this year. So Sandra, and she's decided that she's going to write hers in secret and I can't have it. And I'm absolutely like fucking jonesing for it so bad because I know what she's writing. And I'm like, oh, please, just a little bit. She like kicked me out of the doc and everything. And she thought I wouldn't know.
God.
Because I had the tab open. She kicked me out like in the nighttime UK time. And I came in and I knew she was going to do it. She's like, I want this to be a surprise. I want it to be a secret. But I came back and I like took a screenshot of it and I was like, you kicked Kasey out of the doc. Jail for Dreamer. But it's killing me. I need to read it. Not even for like a beta. Sandra, I didn't need to read it. I've never been denied access to the backstage before. Fuck.
Yeah. Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you going to make me wait until October to read it? And she was like, maybe. And I'm like, what, mate? What?
So do you do more like the development part of it, or do you get somebody that's like did you like the spell, like Dreamer calls it spag, like spelling, punctuation, and grammar? Do you do all of it? What do you
I do a bit of everything. I'm kind of useless at grammar, and Kim will be the first person to tell you that. I've no idea when it comes to commas. Like still to this day, she must add about 3,000 commas.
I think that might be a failing of the UK school system because I'm exactly the same.
It is. I have got better. I have to admit, I have got better. But yeah. But I'll do a bit of everything. Yeah, and obviously like plot holes, or obviously when you're writing something, I think you kind of just get into the flow of what you're writing, and then when you're betaing, it's like, well, maybe I haven't read something for a couple of days and now I've got to this point and this bit doesn't make sense to me. So have you addressed this? And stuff like that. So it's just that kind of, right, make sure that the plot points aren't missing, or this is what a potential writer could question and stuff like that. But yeah, well, kind of just, like you say, it's whatever the person is looking for. But me and Kim are just so kind of comfortable with each other and know what each other needs now that we'll just do different things, like the one that I mentioned earlier, the lost wallet one. Yeah. And I said to Kim, like, I'm just so fed up with it. And she went into the document for me and she went, right, the way you've written this paragraph, this is what I would change, this is what I would do, and put it in a different colour. So you can see the comparison. She hasn't just like deleted it, but she's gone, like, this is how you could, like you say you want to improve it, you say you want to put a bit more emotion into it. So this is how you could do it, and this is an example. So it's not just like, oh, this is crap, fix it. Like like, I will go into details and go, right, this is why I've made this suggestion. This is what I would do if it was me. This is what I would question, sort of thing. So I try and do like the whole roundabout thing, but I wouldn't be the writer I am today if it wasn't for Kim and it wasn't for Tara. They 100% influence the way I write now. Like if I go back to the first versions before they started beta stuff for me, I'm just like, the hell? I'm like, that is the most embarrassing thing to send to someone to beta. But I remember during writing Samnesia, and Tara had done quite a few for me beforehand. She actually wrote a comment in there to say, like, she was like, without being condescending, I've got to say, like, your writing has really come on. Like, I can see the improvement. I can see the attention to detail. Like, you've got really, and I've kept that comment. I've got that as a screenshot. So whenever I need a bit of encouragement, I go back to that little comment to kind of remind myself, actually, you're not that shit. Do you know what I mean? So,
everyone needs that. I have a comment. Sandra's been with me since I started writing back in 2020. Sandra's, like, we were buddies then. And you left a comment on Perfect Balance that was like, I don't like the dark stuff, but like, it's so great to watch you find your voice. And I go back to that all the time because I'm like, oh my God, you've been with me since like day one and you think it's good. It's me all in my feels.
I think everybody, I mean, the first time you do anything is terrible. Like, it's not, if it's great right off the bat, that just means you've got some sort of affinity, you know, you're a prodigy, you know, in a way. But I don't think anybody as writers can ever say you're ever going to stop learning or crafting or better, you know. And I mean, I think we've even had discussions too, Kasey, where, and I don't know if you feel like this, Stacey, too, but like sometimes you want to get, like, I know sometimes I want to get flowery. I want to get prosy. I feel that there's poetry in that sometimes. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's not needed. It's not necessary. But you want to give yourself opportunities to try different things and just experiment. And I think that's what I love really about fan fiction, because to me it's like that's sort of like your playground where you've got your little dolls, you know, that you can kind of like experiment, because you already know a lot of their backstory. So there's not a lot of that. But then if you want to, like with an AU or original fiction, you know, that's when you learn how to build, like you were saying about what you've done with Samnesia and Brooke, just having those thoughts and processes and those things. And even if it's just like in an outline form, like this is probably something that happened before, probably had this situation, or like, you know, maybe this interaction with her family, you know, like what happened when she broke up with, you know, her fiance, like, you know, like the cheating, like all these different aspects of it that I'm sure go through your mind as you're writing actual characters. But then even with Sam and Dean, who you've already got that baseline, it's just a ton of what ifs. And I think that that's really, I feel like fan fiction has given me opportunities to try different things with my writing that I, you know, wouldn't have done with original stuff. And I think that gives me like, okay, maybe just try that with original. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter. I've read so many things where people are like, you've got to do it this way. Why? You don't have to do it anyway. You could do it any way you want to. But it's, yeah. I don't know if that, like, if you kind of feel that too, like, has writing fan fiction ever given you the urge to write anything original? Like, do you do anything off the side, or you kind of just focus on the fan fiction fandoms and stuff? Because I mean, you've got a lot that you seem to write in and write about, especially like the fantasy element of like Marvel and DC and stuff like that.
I feel like I would if I thought I had an original idea, and I just don't think nothing's an original idea anymore, is it? Everything's kind of been done. And I know, like, everybody says, well, fan fiction, it's been done, but obviously it's your take on it, which is fine for fan fiction. Yeah. But I just think for an original, I don't think I've got that. I don't think I've got that in me.
There's nothing original anymore. I mean, that's why you see like 5 movies come out that are following the same thing. Like people are just kind of like jumping onto trends and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think the art now lies in the voice of the person. We've come up with, like, conceivably nearly every idea now. We've reached the limits of what we can imagine as humans.
100%, yeah.
So now it comes down to the voice of the person. And that is one of the things I love about fanfic. We're all coming from the same source material, but the way you write Dean is different to the way I write him, is different to Sandra, it's different to this. But, you know, like, we're all looking at the same song sheet, but we're all playing just a little bit different. And I love that. So, if the idea that there's nothing original to is what's holding you back, don't, because there isn't. So write something in your voice. That's what you have. It's a story someone else at some point has told, but they haven't told it like you're going to tell it. So that's the thing. It's my questions time now. Yay! So Sandra put this question down, but now she's given it to me, and you don't have to share if you don't want to like dox yourself or anything like that. But where did your username come from? Where did Princess Misery come from? And what is the relevance of the 666 besides the obvious relevance of the 666?
So I'm a very, like, glass half empty kind of person. And I always have been. I'm kind of like, I kind of expect the worst, and if I get anything better, it's a bonus.
Yep.
So, but at the same time, I can kind of be a bit high maintenance in the fact that I'm very stubborn. I know what I want, and I'm not going to give in until I get what I want. So a friend actually called me Princess Misery, and it kind of stuck when I was in high school. And then when I come to Tumblr, I just added the 666 for supernatural, as in the devil's number. So, yeah. Not much deeper than that.
I feel like there should be a British song. Though. That feels like that should be a song, like a song or an album or like a band name. It's a very good username. I like it a lot.
Hold on to that thought.
There's somebody else on Tumblr, and they're called Candy Coated Misery, and I'm like, oh, it's so much better than mine.
That's always the worst, isn't it? Or you think of your username and you're like, fucking yes, and then someone else has got it and you're like, fuck. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And that is so British as well. That is, if anybody's wondering, that is like a very peak friend thing to do in Britain, to be like, you are such a Princess Misery. You are so... And it's meant with genuine love and affection. We're just a very... Right, look, when you've planned 50 fucking barbecues and had to call off 49 of them, you just get a certain outlook on life. All right?
I mean, it's 17 degrees apparently in Birmingham today, and I'm sat here with a hoodie on, so that says it all, doesn't it?
And you know what? I don't know what temperature it is in Yorkshire, but I've got the window open and the fan on.
Okay.
So I can see blue sky. It's wild. We haven't seen that in so long. It's blue sky. My next door neighbours are going to set the shed on fire and put some sausages and burgers on it in a minute. It's wild. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Alrighty. Now, this one is nothing to do with supernatural or writing or fan fiction or anything. This one's way out of left field. But adults don't ask other adults this question enough, and I am on a one-person mission to change that. All right. What is your favourite dinosaur?
Oh, okay. So my nephew calls it a bashy tail, but I think I'm not going to pronounce it right. No way. Is it an ankylosaurus?
Yes.
Aww.
Is that right? Is that how you say it?
It is, yeah. A bashy tail.
Is that the one with the spiky? Is it the spiky-tailed one?
That's a stegosaurus.
It's got like a lump and then spikes coming off it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that? I know. Have I said it right? Yeah.
No, you have said it right. I know exactly what dinosaur you're talking about. Ankylosaurus. I know. Yeah. I could see it in my head. It's the one that like kind of looks a little bit like a tank, Sandra, and his tail is like a club.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
And it just smash.
Okay.
Bashy tail.
It's like the Hulk of dinosaurs.
Yeah. Do you know? I was thinking, but it's only because it was in my head. You know, like the new Tesla Cybertrucks that just look like garbage.
Yes.
It kind of looks like that. Like it's just really hardcore armored. Really it's got a really tiny brain because there's no room for brain in the heavy armored skull. It's got really small eyes.
Oh my god!
And it's just a fucking tank of a beast.
It is. You're right.
So cool! Yay! Well done. You get a gold star for being one of the very few people that actually gave me a dinosaur.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of hesitation too. It's like right away. So yeah, I take it the nephew is probably part of the reason why too.
He is.
I got one.
He was very into dinosaurs, and now he's all into King Kong and Godzilla.
Gotta be, gotta be right. Yeah. There's always a time frame when dinosaurs are just like it. You know, when
dinosaurs are the jam. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
On that note, we've kept you a very long time, Stacey. Yeah,
bombshell.
I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, is there, and maybe this is a good time to ask this question, because I know you're kind of going through it right now, but what words of wisdom might you give other authors, writers, if they're having difficulty, or if they just need a little, boost to get back into writing, or if they're not sure about, their talents or different things like that. Do you have any words of wisdom that you could share?
Oh, I don't know. Take a break. So the big one is take a break, and then just write it. Even if it's going to be bad, just write it. At least you've got something on the page that a first draft is a first draft. I'm sure there's nobody out there that's ever posted something that they've written without editing. Like there's some, you've always gone back to it and changed something. So that's what first draft is for. Write the bad thing, fix it later.
Good.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you very much.
I like that. I don't know if you enjoyed yourself. Like, we kind of always want to keep it open. If you'd like to come back for a chat, or maybe we could get you and Kim on. Maybe we can get you and Kim on, I don't know, together or something like that, figure something out. But if you think you might want to come back and just chat with us, maybe towards the end of Jackals vs. Bingo, because I'm hoping to get Kim back just to see how did her first big bingo go, that kind of a situation. So I feel like you two would be so fun to have
great to hang out with.
So I'd never heard Kim speak as well until I listened to the podcast. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so falling in love with your voice. You've got the best.
She does have a really great voice. Yeah. She does.
I was sick, I got a cold. I was like, but you sounded wonderful.
It's like a bedroom. It was like a little bit of a bedroom voice. I'm like, man, all righty, Kim. Got that going on for you. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. She was so, she's been so lovely. Like I said, I'd read her stuff and I'd been subscribed to her for a while. And then to make the connection that she was the one running it when she said, "Oh yeah, I kind of write occasionally." And then she said who she was. I was like, oh, it's like, oh my God. I'm like, Winchester Witch, are you kidding me? So I was just like, getting her on and then being able to connect because she's given us, names of people to reach out to and stuff. And I'm glad you agreed. And this has been fun. And it wasn't that nerve-wracking, was it? Once you got on?
No, it was
brilliant.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear.
Because we want to know that we appreciate, even if you're going through some stuff now with your writing, like what you give to the fandom is important and valuable, and people that do read it enjoy it. So even though you're going to be hard on yourself, know that the people reading it, most of us understand the process and we know what you're going through when it comes to like, I just don't know what to do next. So I think that's, like you said, that's one of the lovely parts of this fandom. It's been nice to sort of make this little connection with other writers and just talk about something that we all really love, at the end of the day, even though it drives us crazy. We love it. So.
It's always good to know you're not alone. Like there's somebody feeling the same things that you're feeling and going through the same things that you're going through. So
it's
very good. Thank you for having me.
Fabulous. Thank you for coming, Stacey. This has been so much fun to talk to you. It's so good to have another Sam fan and another Brit on the show. I'm slowly digging you all out of the woodwork to be like, where my UK SPN fans at? Come.
Thank you
so
very
much.
Have a great weekend and a great week.
Yeah, enjoy your time off, sweetie. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I liked getting a chance to even talk to like a Sam reader OFC because I don't know how much of that we've had. Really?
Lou? There must be a
Lou. That's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So we really haven't had anybody, I think, that really kind of focused, even though, like I said, going back and looking at more of Stacey's stuff, I do see that there's a lot of, now it's understandable why there might be a little bit more Dean because she's doing the bingo, but I think she's done a lot of Dean before. Hearing that she did Dean as her first was interesting too. But no, I liked getting the chance to expand our little circle of writers. Yeah. This has been
hopefully Stacey had fun and she will maybe come back and have a chat with us on her own or with Kim. At this point, we're just going to have like Kim and friends come back. It's going to be sweet.
I think so. But yeah, we're going to wrap up, but we want to thank you for listening and let us know what you think about the episode. You can get in touch by emailing us at idlinginttheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify in the Q&A section to share your thoughts. Leave a YouTube comment, join us in Discord, and yell at us in real time. All our contact details are on our website, idlinginttheimpala.com. You can also find our merch store there, which is another way to help support us. Go check it out. And if you want to fuel our supernatural road trip, consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different memberships and would love to have you along for the journey.
Yeah, join us, take a look at it. But don't forget, you can support us for free by liking, commenting, and subscribing on YouTube and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement really helps us with all the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes that we support in the description. So we have LGBTQ plus talking charities from me, mental health charities from Sandra, US election info. Keep yourself up to date and informed as November closes in. And remember, it's a jump to the left, not a step to the right. And the main causes that we are championing, highlighting, spotlighting, every other adjective that means drawing attention to is World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. Both of these charities are on the ground working in the Ukraine to help those still affected by Russia's unlawful invasion of the Ukraine, and in Gaza, which is in the crossfire of the war between Israel and Hamas. This is not political. It doesn't matter which side of these issues that you stand on. We are coming from a purely humanitarian view here. There are people in the Ukraine and Gaza that are trapped. They are cut off from basic human rights like food, water, and shelter, and they are dying. They didn't ask for war, and we want to help the people risking their lives to help them. If you can't or you don't want to donate financially, that's totally fine. Just sharing the links around social media helps massively to keep these issues in the public eye and get these people in need all the help that we can. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the back seat. Thank you to Stacey for joining us and talking to us today. And we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.